Get off.
All right, true peace, everyone. Back with another amazing show. My name is NoopooH-Nature. I'm thankful again to be on the platform to create some beautiful situations and where we can educate the people on scientific knowledge known as Noone, and allow everyone a space to really find the truth in spirituality and connecting the bridge between spirituality and science. And this is a great space if you want to learn the deeper meanings on any of the religious texts that you are seeking knowledge from, and get the truth from it, because Noon absolutely is a science in science and science of all sciences. So sit back and enjoy the show.
True peace. I am NoopooH-Nature, and we are back once again with another video to go deep, deep, deep into the annals of ancient information, which will blow some people's minds, as well as those that's distorting the information. Also, get to the bottom of the information, whether they accept it or not, but eventually they will. And just want to also add that this have been a great opportunity for all to get the information that have been distorted for so long. And this is the time. True peace.
True peace, everybody. It's Talk King Nupu. We're just here to continue. This is part 7, and we're going to let a new take it away. Go ahead, Ken.
All right. I guess we left off after the Adam and Eve situation. So just pull up the BIAE real quick, or maybe I could do it. Hold on, let me see something. Where are the books? Books. Let's see. All right. Bible interpretations. Give me 1 second. Should have had it pulled up already, but give me a second. Seems like it's taking its time to load on my end. Okay, here we go. All right, hold on. All right. Here we go. We are up to letter B. Yep. All right, here we go. All right. Let's see. Did the Bible interpretation screen come up?
Not yet.
I don't know why.
There you go. It's coming through.
Oh, okay. It didn't come up, right?
No, we see you trying to share it, but it ain't popped up yet. Because we see your screen.
Oh, let me see if I expand this. Will it come up? Is it up now?
Nah, you might have to
Yeah.
stop sharing it and do it again.
Let me see something. I put share window, but I guess I'm gonna just use share screen instead.
All right, there you go.
Yeah, because I had share window on.
Okay.
All right. So letter B. Letter B. Who was the serpent and how did it beguile Eve? All right. Number 6. The serpent was Leviathan, a giant sex and spirit force who was able to control peoples and nations by sex and by spirit generated from blood and the waters of the earth. Leviathan, who has many spirit members and parts distributed throughout the earth, was cast from the sun approximately 17,250,000 years ago, just before the evolutionary cycle began. The moon cycle is the climax of the evolutionary cycle. The serpent, Leviathan, is the moon god, Sin, who hypnotized Eve and excited her womanhood by its forces, and in turn, Eve excited Adam's manhood, and they had sexual intercourse, which was forbidden by the laws of the sun god, because Adam and Eve were priests and nuns. Before Adam and Eve defiled it, sex was sacred, meaning it was used only out of necessity, not out of lust. The serpent Lucifer brought lust into the picture, and it does this by stimulating sex in various ways. And this is why it is called a sex force as well as a spirit force. Okay? So there's a lot to unpack in that right there. So we talked a lot about Adam and Eve. We kind of broke everything down about Adam and Eve, and hopefully by now, if you haven't, you could go back to the previous videos. We do a extensive breakdown of who they were and what type of life they lived. We also broke down who the God in the Bible is as well, and we gave a nice breakdown of who the God in the Bible was. And if you didn't know, his name was Rehoboam in ancient Kemet and Manu in the Vedic text or the Hindu or in Hinduism. Okay, so we'll move forward. We don't need to revisit that at this particular point in time. So we're going to identify who Leviathan is. So we're gonna stop this real quick. Then we're gonna go to our faithful Chat GPT. All right. So some keywords that we need to understand is that Leviathan was what? Cast from the sun, right? So I said to ChatGPT, according to the BIAE, Leviathan is a giant sex force that was cast from the sun. What is the largest solar event that has ever happened to the sun where the sun lost some of its magnetic power? According to King James Decoded, but this for some reason the Chat GPT is now renaming the BIAE. I don't know why, but maybe Chat GPT is going a little rogue now. But I asked it, what are these books? And it said it's another name that it created for the BIAE, the Bible interpretations. So don't be alarmed or puzzled at it saying King James Decoded, because I thought that was another book, but it's not. All right. According to King James Decoded, the largest recorded sun event in New Science terms, where the sun lost a portion of its magnetic power, was the sun cycle breach about 17,250,000 years ago. This event is described as the post-sun expulsion of Leviathan, a six-ether solar sex composite force. In that breach, a mass ejection of solar force occurred, displacing Leviathan from the sun. This was not simply a flare or CME, which is a coronal mass ejection in the modern astrophysics sense. It was a functional loss of solar magnetic order that allowed a sex-governed spirit force to leave the sun and begin operating in opposition to the lawful SMAT process. From the Noon Science record, this is the largest and most consequential magnetic disturbance in the sun's history because it permanently removed the composite force from the sun's lawful system. It altered solar magnetic balance, enabling six ether inversion forces to operate on Earth. It happened well before the current evolutionary cycle began, shaping the conditions of life and mental function ever since. In short, the sun cycle breach that expelled Leviathan 17 and a quarter million years ago is the largest magnetic loss event tied to the sun in the BIAE/NoopooH records. I said to ChatGPT, what verifiable scientific event is equal to the magnitude of this occurring in mundane science? In mundane, which is mainstream science, the closest equivalent in magnitude to the sun cycle breach that expelled Leviathan would be something on the scale of a stellar superflare or a massive coronal mass ejection that far exceeds anything in human history. And an event powerful enough to disrupt the sun's global magnetic field and expel a measurable fraction of its magnetically bound plasma into interplanetary space. Here's a breakdown. Modern reference point. The largest confirmed solar magnetic disturbance in the recorded history is the Carrington event of 1859, a solar storm that caused global telegraph failures and produced auroras visible near the equator. It was caused by a huge CME impacting Earth's magnetosphere. Magnitude gap. The sun cycle breach in Noon Science terms would have been millions of times more powerful, not just ejecting particles towards Earth, but destabilizing the sun's own magnetic reservoir, altering its field balance on a permanent basis. The closest astrophysical analog in stellar physics, such an event would be comparable to a solar flare observed on the sun-like stars, releasing up to 10,000 times the energy of the Carrington event. So it's not the Carrington event of 1859. A magnetic polarity reversal gone catastrophic, where the sun's dynamo process suffers a massive asymmetric failure, ejecting entire magnetic domains into space. In short, in mundane science terms, the sun cycle breach would be like the sun experiencing a super flare of unprecedented scale combined with a catastrophic magnetic reconfiguration, something so extreme it could cause it could permanently change solar output and planetary conditions. If you want, I can quantify how much plasma and um magnetic energy would have been expelled for a real star to undergo a Leviathan scale loss in modern physics, astrophysics units. That would let us know the numbers in joules, Tesla, and solar mass terms. So honestly, ChatGPT didn't give me nothing in that paragraph because I asked it to give me the event and it gave me a completely wrong event. So this sometimes you'll be, you'll have to be very specific with ChatGPT. So I said, okay, let's go back to any of the major extinction events. Which one has this type of event that aligns, right? So in Noon Science, we call cataclysms extinction events. In mundane science, they're called extinction events. In Noon Science, we call them cataclysms. Okay, so 3 South cataclysm is an extinction event. 6 East cataclysm is an extinction event. The 9 North cataclysm is an extinction event, as well as the 6 West cataclysm is an extinction event. So right now we're trying to tie down the 6 West cataclysm event that triggered the sun losing some of its magnetic energy, because Leviathan happens to be a force that can change almost all the conditions in the solar system, especially on planet Earth. And we're gonna identify how Leviathan does this, okay? Even if we gotta jump off Chat GPT and go on another platform to see what's going on. All right, so here we go. If we align the sun cycle breach in Noon science with known mass extinction events in mainstream media, geology, the closest candidate would be the Permian extinction. This is actually wrong, but we'll find out why in a second. Here's why the Permian lines up best. Scale of impact. It is the largest known extinction in Earth history, wiping out about 90 to 96% of marine species and 70% of terrestrial vertebrates. Solar connection plausibility. While mainstream science attributes it primarily to massive Serbian traps, volcanoes, and knock-on effects, runaway greenhouse heating, ocean anoxia, and ozone depletion could be functionally mirrored in new science by a severe solar magnetic disturbance that altered atmospheric and oceanic chemistry globally. Magnetic field disruption link. Some paleomagnetic records from that period indicate geomagnetic instability and potentially weakened solar shielding, which would match the loss of solar magnetic order described in the Leviathan expulsion. Duration and consequence. The end Permian didn't just kill species, it reorganized ecosystems and set the stage for an entirely new evolutionary order, parallel to how the sun cycle breach introduced a new etheric order and shifted planetary life function in the new framework. Other contenders like the end Ordovician, and this number means roughly 444 million years ago, or the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction 66 million years ago, were also massive, but they're more tightly linked to asteroid impacts or glaciations. The end Permian is one where a combined atmospheric, magnetic, and solar radiation shift could fit both mundane and noon science interpretations. If you want, I can cross map the end Permian's paleomagnetic data with the sun's cycle breach time into how a solar scale magnetic disturbance could produce the same extinction effects seen in fossil records. Then I said, which event had the most massive solar flares? In mainstream astrophysics, there's no direct geological extinction event conclusively tied to most massive solar flares, because the sun in its current middle age state is relatively stable compared to young or highly active stars. However, we do have relative points of comparisons. So I'm going to skip some of this because some of this is irrelevant, because it's going to keep carrying me in a circle and not the right circle. So this is where we're going to get the answer to the question. Which extinction event saw a major shift in the sun's magnetism? From the mainstream geologic and paleomagnetic record, the extinction event that shows the strongest evidence of a major shift in the sun-earth magnetic relationship is the end Devonian extinction. It says roughly 359 million years ago. Though this is the thing with the Caucasian and his dates. His dates doesn't account for nature's natural process of going through cycles and seasons. All right, so this doesn't account for the cycles. This only accounts for however long they can track it for. But nature goes through cycles and seasons. It's like, I'll give you an example. It's like winter, right? The Caucasian would say, well, winter is just one event and it happened 3 million years ago. But not knowing that winter comes in a cyclic event every year. You understand what I'm saying? So what I'm trying to portray to you guys and women out there, what I'm trying to portray to you is that nature works in cyclical sequences. So this number is just a whole number, not a cyclical number. So when we do the math, we will see later on, I'm gonna show you the math. We will see that this kind of lines up with the 18 million years that AFROO OONOO was 17,250,000 years that AFROO OONOO was speaking about. Okay. All right. Here's why it stands out. Ozone layer collapse evidence. Fossil plant spores from this period show mutated outer walls, a sign of massive ultraviolet radiation exposure. This suggests the ozone layer was severely thinned or destroyed. Such a collapse is most plausible caused by a spike in solar energetic particles from an intense solar magnetic event or sequence of super flares. So this is not just regular solar flares. Super flares are even more massive than regular solar flares. Okay? So this means that Leviathan would have to have destroyed what was already here, right? So the ozone layer of the planet keeps the planet as far as what you would call protected. But because Leviathan was flung out from the sun, right? It caused the ozone layer to be destroyed. So that old ozone layer that the planet had before, and we're gonna go into this further on down the line. We're just identifying Leviathan at this particular point in time for the BIAE. As we get into the nature books and things like that, we'll start to identify the changes that Leviathan had to do in order to get the results of where we are right now in our in evolution, as we would call it. But now we're in revolution because that ended in 1962, and we're about 63 years into the sun cycle and into revolution. Okay. All right. Paleomagnetic instability. Geomagnetic records from the late Devonian sediments indicate field weakening. So it was a strong magnetic field on the planet. It was destroyed by Leviathan, and possible excursion, short-term pole reversals. Okay. So this had to be a major event in order for Leviathan to operate that the way it does on the planet. It has to destroy everything. It has to undo what 9 ether did. And we'll talk about 9 ether and what 9 ether is at a later date. But the original creation had to be destroyed. The original atmosphere had to be destroyed. Original animals, original people, original, all of those original things had to be destroyed. This is why this is called an extinction event. Okay? Here we go. Paleomagnetic instability. I just read this. When the Earth's magnetic field weakens, it's often during solar magnetic instability periods that let more high energy radiation through. Mass mortality in shallow waters. The radiation spike would have devastated surface and near surface marine ecosystems, consistent with Devonian loss being especially severe for reef builders and shallow water organisms. There was no asteroid impact evidence. Unlike the Cretaceous Paleogene extinction, there's no strong impact crater match here, pointing to an atmospheric and radiation driven cause. Here we go, right here. Okay, atmospheric and radiation cause. So in modern science terms, the N Devonian is the closest candidate for the extinction linked to the major solar magnetic shift, which in Noone could be interpreted as the smaller scale echo of the sun cycle breach that expelled Leviathan. If you want, I can also map how Devonian magnetic disruptions aligns with Noone science mat cycle timing to see if it falls on predicted instability point. And then I said yes, but I didn't like the fact that it was, linking the end of the Devonian with the 3 South. This is actually the 6 East cataclysm because the sun goes through that magnetism and death, right? So I said, let's not focus on where it is on the SMAT circle. We must focus on the powerful impact and what caused this shift. And it said according to the 144,000 in Noon, but this again, it keeps using books that I don't want, but it's still gonna give a plausible answer. The extinction level scenario most comparable to the sun's magnetic shift is tied to the paleomagnetic disturbances, large-scale changes in the Earth's and sun's magnetic systems recorded in geophysical history. The document connects the sun's influence on Earth's magnetic field to a planetary scale environmental shifts, noting that such changes are tracked by paleomagnetism. The study of ancient magnetic field records locked in rocks. While Noon Science identifies a sun cycle breach, which expelled Leviathan 17.25 million years ago, as the largest solar magnetic loss event, the closest mundane science parallel in extinction history would be an event where the solar-driven magnetic disruption coincided with major biosphere collapse. Right, so it gave me another event that doesn't map up with it. But the only one that does map up with it is the end of the Devonian, right? So that's why I said let's use AFROO OONOO's nature books and scientific, verifiable, peer-reviewed evidence for this. And it says under the constraint of AFROO OONOO's nature books plus peer-reviewed science only, the extinction event that best matches a powerful solar magnetism atmosphere disturbance is the end Devonian this is very important too, because right after this event, this is where we start to see dinosaurs, and the diet is the carnivore, and it's called the carnivorous diet. Okay, where most of their diet was moon, what do we call moon mist in nature science or in Noon Science, but we'll get to that at another point. All right, so AFROO OONOO corpus lawful frame. Your records tie large coronal mass ejections and solar oscillations to system level atmospheric impacts and direct us to read long-term magnetic behavior through paleomagnetism. Peer-reviewed evidence, mundane frame. Multiple studies report ozone layer collapse. So Leviathan had to collapse the ozone layer because the ozone layer does what? It protects the integrity on the planet. But once Leviathan was spun from the sun, it had to collapse the atmosphere so that it can operate the way that it needs to, right? And extreme UVB exposure at the end Devonian, inferred from malformed land plant spores, a classic signal of UVB, which is ultraviolet stress. This is direct stratigraphical constrained evidence for an atmosphere/solar radiation crisis at the boundary. See also corroborating analysis. What likely caused the shift? Atmospheric effect observed. Ozone depletion and high UVB at the extinction horizon. Spore teratology. Plausible solar driver. A sequence of extreme solar proton events. Keep that in mind. Solar proton events. Or a super flare class CME regime is known. Observationally on sun-like stars to generate particle fluxes capable of depleting ozone. Modeling work quantifies the SPE, which is the solar proton events classes. Fluences can drive global mean ozone losses, roughly 30%. Mass impact scale, empirical precedent, Heliocene. So this was another event that caused disturbances as well. Okay, conclusion. Within AFROO OONOO's framework, solar expulsions and magnetism affecting atmospheric function. And within the peer-reviewed geoscience, documented UVB ozone collapse at the extinction horizon. The end Devonian is the best aligned extinction for a powerful sun-linked atmospheric magnetic disturbance. peer-reviewed work stops short of proving a scientific solar magnetism failure as the cause. It demonstrates the impact, which is the ozone and the UVB, and shows the solar physics has mechanisms energetic enough to produce such impacts. All right. So this is when I questioned it about the book, the NoopooH interpretation. This is what I meant about the what you call it renaming the book. So it says the NoopooH interpretation books are the Bible interpretation explanation series, often abbreviated BIAE, authored by AFROO OONOO, whose legal name is John E. Brown. These books are apply lawful science of NoopooH. All right. So sometimes you may see this, and then you just gotta question the Chat GPT. All right. So I said to the Chat GPT, sexual thoughts are said to be low vibration. Is it any scientific evidence to validate this? And how does it tie into an event like the late Devonian? And how the lowering of the field on Earth can lead to this? If we work only within AFROO OONOO's nature books and scientifically verified peer-reviewed sources, we can answer this in two parts. One about the measurable science and one about the lawful NoopooH interpretation. Scientific evidence on low vibration and sexual thoughts. In mundane science, low vibration is not a standard term, but you can translate it into measurable phenomena related to brain wave states. Keep that in mind. Neurochemistry and autonomic nervous system patterns. Okay? Brainwave states. Sexual arousal is linked to what? Theta and alpha activity in the limbic and reward centers regions of the brain. fMRI and the EEG studies confirm this. This is why I'm only asking for scientifically verifiable information. Okay, so this is where sexual arousal is linked in the theta and the alpha activity in the limbic system. Okay, these states are associated with reduced cortical control and heightened primal impulse regulation. Physiologically, this means a shift from frontal lobe function, executive function, towards midbrain limbic activity. Neurochemistry, dopamine surges in the mesolimbic pathway increase novelty seeking and short-term gratification. Post-orgasm prolactin spikes are associated with a refractory low motivation phase, a temporary decrease in goal-directed energy. Energy costs. From a metabolic standpoint, these cycles can reduce sustained cognitive focus. This is what happened with Adam and Eve. These cycles can reduce sustained cognitive focus and high order planning if engaged in excess, matching the functional definition of lowering operational potential. In peer-reviewed terms, low vibration maps the lower cortical coherence and the increased limbic dominance, which is observable and quantifiable. Tie it to late Devonian and magnetic field weakening. Peer-reviewed paleoclimate and paleomagnetism. During the late Devonian extinction, multiple studies suggest ozone layer collapse from heightened UV exposure. Mutated spores as evidence. Weakened geomagnetic field strength during certain intervals would have reduced Earth's protection from the solar proton events and cosmic rays, letting more ionizing radiation reach the surface. How this links to functionally to behavior. Lowered geomagnetic shielding alters Schumann resonance, which this is the Earth's frequency. In environmental electromagnetic patterns. Peer-reviewed neuroscience shows that human and animal brain rhythms can entrain to external EMF ranges. A weaker, more chaotic magnetic environment may increase stress responses and shift neuroendocrine balance towards survival and reproduction rather than long-term reasoning. See that powerful statement right there? A weaker, more chaotic environment may increase stress responses and shift neuroendocrine balance. I want every time you see the word endocrine, I want you to know that means spirit. Because this is the body, the endocrine is the body of the spirit. Okay? That word endocrine, every time you see it, means spirit. Okay? And that's why a lot of them, you know, you could see even the chakra is is done by the endocrine system as well. But this endocrine right here is the spirit system. Okay? And shift the neuro or the spirit balance towards survival and reproduction rather than long-term reasoning. AFROO OONOO's lawful interpretation from the BIA in Leviathan is a sex force. Sexual compulsion as a low function arises when 6 ether inversion forces dominate. A condition intensified when solar or geomagnetic order is weakened. The sun cycle breach is the prime historical example. Smaller echoes like the late Devonian's possible magnetic weakening could let inversion forces intensify sex-governed patterns. This aligns with NoopooH law. A degraded field transmission allows Leviathan-type governance to work through the reproductive and spirit-binding circuits. Okay? All right. So we could end there as far as identifying the Leviathan. So we see now that Leviathan is one of the most powerful forces in our solar system and the universe in general. And this happens when the sun has what you would call a nuclear fallout, meaning that everything changes. The atmosphere changes, all the biodiversity, all the life, mostly all the life on the planet passes away because they cannot survive in that type of environment, which means that Leviathan has to change the whole structure of the planet, okay? And lower the magnetic field. You understand what I'm saying? So when we go back to the BIAE real quick, sorry, let me do this again real quick. Share screen. All right, share this screen. We could go real quick back to the BIAE, right? You guys can see that, right? The serpent was Leviathan, right? A giant sex force who was able to control peoples and nations by sex and by spirit generated from blood and the waters of the the waters of the earth, right?
It's
It's
not
not
showing.
showing.
It's not
Okay,
showing.
hold on. Sorry. So it's the other one. Hold on.
There we
Oh
go.
wait,
Oh,
you were able to see it?
Yeah, there you go.
Okay,
now,
all right,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
So the serpent was Leviathan, a giant sex and spirit force who was able to control peoples and nations by sex by spirit generated from blood and the waters of the earth. Okay, so like I said, the serpent, right, is the moon god who what hypnotized Eve, right? And if we just do a quick Google search real quick. Hold on. I want to do this real quick before I pass it on to you all real quick. Which part of the brain? No, not which part of the brain. Sorry. Hypnotism works on which brainwave? You remember when we said earlier when I showed you in ChatGPT where sex was operating on? You remember that? Alpha and theta, right? So we could go back real quick. Hold on, real quick. Because this is very important.
Yeah, I heard you say something about the brain waves.
Mm-hmm. I might have passed it. Hold on. Oh yeah, I passed it. Hold on. Wait. Yeah, because I want to show the people real quick. But I'm back in the what you call it, right? I'm back
Yeah,
in the
you
chat.
back on the chat. You're in the
Okay.
chat now, right?
Okay. Got you. Okay. Here we go. What does it say here? Brain waves. What?
Brainwave states.
Sexual
Sexual arousal is linked
on
to
what?
theta. It's the theta and alpha activity in the limbic and reward center regions of the brain.
And where does the hypnosis happen?
The alpha and theta. Just make it a little bigger.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
A little bit more. There you go. Hypnosis typically associated with alpha and theta brainwave states. These states are correct. Yep, that's the hypnosis.
So I hope you all are watching, learning, because you're never going to see this on another channel. All right. I don't know what y'all want to add to that, but that's my spill for now, and which Neebu, what you thought about that?
Oh, that was very powerful. Basically, it just broke down that when Leviathan breaks down the magnetic field and lower the vibration, that's why it's negative energy because of the lower vibration.
Mm-hmm. So it had to strip the magnetic fields of the
Yeah.
planets, because you got to remember because I mean we jumping ahead a little bit here, but I think it's plausible to jump ahead. So in the top half, things were positive, atmosphere was positive, lot of heat, lot of good gases and things like that. But once Leviathan was casted from the sun, which means that this event caused the magnetism to spin it off the sun through various solar flares, and like a storm happened. You understand? And it shifted the magnetism and allowed it now to what? Destroy all the planet's
Destroy.
ozone layer, and now lower the frequency so that these thoughts now can become more sexual. And as we read earlier, it causes now these neuroendocrine to now shift from reasoning to what? To survival and sex or reproduction. All right. But yeah, thank you for that Nebu. That was good observation. Amazing.
All right. That was very much needed because I know you've been working on that for a few years, trying to tie it down. But the Chat GPT gives us the quickness, as long as you know how to train it and keep it within the parameters.
Right. You got to be very specific, because it'll give you. You see, it gave me 3 wrong answers. So I gotta make sure that I tie it down correctly. And the statement that allowed it to give me the right answer was what? When the sun lost its most magnetism, right? when it loses the most magnetism, which in nature science means scientific death. When your brain is not able to magnetize and reach higher brain waves, right? It's just like with brain newts. What is the brain newt's power? The brain newt's power is magically and magnetically. You understand? Whenever magnetism is no longer there, then guess what? You losing the fight. You know what I'm saying? So
that's called it's because the noon is brain concentration, but like you said, once you hit the peak and start descending into old age and maturity and all that, then senility is the word that AFROO OONOO uses, and nature itself goes through that, so it's not a problem in that note. So what I wanted to do is because I'm glad you broke that up to Paul. So I'm gonna go into we're gonna look at Leviathan one more time, as stated in the writings of the true Amenubi, aka AFROO OONOO, aka Johnny Eugene Brown, and we need to look at what because we this whole thing is about facts and all that stuff, but we got to continue to clear AFROO OONOO's name and make it known the difference between the true and the false. And since York being an agent of Leviathan and inserted himself into these places is why we have to continue to keep talking about it. All right, so I'm trying to get to the BIAE again. Where is it? Okay. So we're gonna go back to the BIAE first, just for clarification purposes. All right. All right. So for those who really, whoever this video audio find and who have the books, we need to be very clear because we're using the books and we have to use these books to clarify and separate truth from falsehood. So York Klein wrote these books. So what we're doing is now coming back around to show and prove that it only could be one person, because the Bible interpretation says that every time there's an end of a cycle, nature raises up one person. So there's no such thing as two. There's no for the dummies who be like, oh, well, AFROO OONOO and York. No, it's no AFROO OONOO and. It's AFROO OONOO. That's it. There's no York and then AFROO OONOO was his student. Both are ridiculously falsities. All right. So here the book starts off in Bible interpretation, book number 1. It talks about there's a spell upon the Ethiopian woolly-haired people the world over, right? And it tells you a spell of spiritual ignorance and racial indifference cast upon the Ethiopian by Leviathan, right? And you keep going and going and going. And so we go down further. Let me see what that number is. I think it's further down, right here. All right, you come down here again. Who was the serpent and how did it beguile Eve? Now remember, about 2 videos ago, I told you that York told his flock of fools that the serpent was Tahuti was in the garden with Adam and Eve, and that he was the one that told them to do whatever. But here, in the same books that they claim he wrote, they tell you that the serpent was Leviathan, a giant sex spirit force. So automatically, Tahuti is never known as this, right? Because it said Leviathan is all over the place, but it's saying, look, who's able to control peoples and nations by sex. You understand? So by the fact that what we know, even if we don't add in what Anoop just put in here, just by the information we have between both groups, between Noonaboos and the Wapians or Sabians, this Tahuti cannot fit this. And it's a spirit generated by blood in the waters of the earth. Now, Tahuti is connected to the waters by way of the moon, right? But this thing is all over the place. Say Leviathan was many spirit members and parts distributed throughout the earth was what? Casted from the sun. So this right here is what we're looking at. So now when you add in what a Newton Chat GPT and AFROO OONOO stated, this was something that came from the sun. It's understood that Tahuti or Djibouti or Thos or Hermes is a what? Moon god. That's a satellite. That's the third rank of orbs in the rank of our orbs go. It goes suns, planets, and then satellites. So Tahuti is nowhere near in the rank of a sun or a solar spirit for that matter. So we know that this automatically makes what York said a lie, right? Just by looking at what it says, because it's saying Leviathan came from the sun, all right? So we got that down pat, all right? So what we have to do now is look at some of the things that, hold on, that York has stated, all right? Because I did a lot of research on this a long time, a lot of times. So we're gonna go and get one of York's most popularized publications. All right, so this is the Black Book 2, or the Sacred Records of Armageddon, right? So what we're gonna do, we're just gonna go through a couple of things. We're gonna type in Leviathan, and we're gonna run through a couple of the pages, and we're gonna recognize the plagiarism and the rest of the lies. So y'all can see this?
Yeah, I can see it.
All right, so let me make it a little bit bigger.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so on here, we're just gonna go down here. This is how York defined Leviathan. So we're gonna be able to tell. It said, how much time did we have? A mere half of a minute in years. 30 years was needed from 1970 to 2000. The end of the 6,000 year reign of the Luciferian. See, once again, we keep telling you the end of the 6,000 years ended in 1962. That's when the moon cycle ended. Not in the year 2000. That's the first lie. But let me deal with that real quick, just because. Let me know if did the thing change?
We see the how much time we have. You go into something else now?
Yeah, I switched it. I'm gonna see if it'll change without me having to kill the screen. Okay, it didn't do it. All right, let me stop sharing the screen because you had did it. You jumped between one, but I thought I can do it too. All right, so we're gonna jump back because y'all gotta understand this. So I'm gonna type in 1962. And look what it say, Bible Interpretation Book 2. The moon cycle, which lasted 6,000 years, ended in what? February 1962. Why is York telling y'all that the moon cycle ended from 1970 to the year 2000? Why is he giving the moon cycle 8 more years? This is pure lies. Like I told y'all that York would take an event and tell it 20 times, and they will believe that all of them are true. The event only happened one time, right? We know the Bible interpretation came out in 67 to 68. Here, so York forgot he wrote that the moon cycle ended in 62? Don't make no sense. Look again. Say it again. The moon cycle ended February 1962, but the hangover will not be terminated until the end of Armageddon. We go again in the nature books right here. In the noon Ethiopian year, 5,760,000,000 years from Caucasian Christian year 1962. It's telling you again and when it ended. This is because the one who wrote it in 67 is the same one that wrote these books in the 90s, maintaining the information. Now I can prove the sun cycle ended in 1962 and it's 6,000 years. I got all evidence for that. Let me see if I can pull this up real quick. Just give me a second, because you know these are the things that we have to deal with. What's the name of that book I wrote? The Science Noone. What was those books? I'm trying to think of my books that I wrote that dealt with that. I can't think of the name of it. I wrote so much stuff, y'all. 1962 writings. Okay, yeah. Here we go real quick. Well, we're gonna keep it here. It's still 1962. Now watch this. So we have to show y'all why you can't stop. Why you can't stop with these liars running rampant. Because they're gonna keep lying because of the influence of Leviathan through Mr. Dwight. I'm trying to wait for it to generate. Come on, generate. That's what I need. I need you to generate. Come on. Seems like it's. I'm waiting on it. What you doing? What you doing? Okay, open. Okay, did it pop up? I just seen something. Hold on, y'all. I got too many windows open. Hold on. I tell you, man, I've been books. Just give me a second. I don't know why. Okay, here we go. Good grief. All right, here we go. I don't need you to copy. Stop. I don't need you to copy the source. Okay. All right, here I come back, y'all. Hold on. Goodness gracious, not the bowling ball, man. I hate that beach ball. All right, here we go. All right. Just to keep on point. All right, let me know when y'all can see that.
Solar cycles?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
All right. Do I need to make it bigger?
Just a tad bit.
Zoom.
No,
I don't want
way
too far
too
down. What the heck is happening with this? I pressed too many things. Yeah, hold on. I lost my folder. Hold on. I'm trying to get my folder back. I just found it and I lost it again. 1962. Where is it at? Okay, here we go. We did it again. Hold on. I gotta get my tech in here real quick. Just hold on, y'all. Gotta get my tech in here. But Anoop, just hold it down for a second before I gotta handle this real quick. Just give me a minute.
Yeah, no problem. All right, give me 1 second. Let me get to this real quick. Real quick. All right, so I want to get back to the BIAE. Where was the BIAE? Okay, in the books. BIAE. Scroll.
I got it. I fixed it.
Oh, you fixed it? All right.
Yeah. Let me go back. See if I can make it bigger. Hold on. Let's see. As long as it don't do it again. Go back to home. View. Zoom in. It's about 125. I don't know why is it doing this right here. That's crazy to me.
Maybe you just gotta click it once, probably.
If I had it on the view, web layout, print, why is it under that? What the heck? View, print layout, outline, draft, focus. I don't know what the heck is going on. Hold on, let me get out the document. Let me get out one more time. I've been having craziness all this time, man. This is crazy. Can y'all see that?
Nah, you ain't put nothing up yet.
Hold on. Let me see if it's big enough.
There you go.
All right. Is it readable?
No, not on my end at least.
Hold on. I'm gonna make it bigger.
Lower it up a little bit.
I mean, as long as you can see it, I think you should be okay.
All right, how about now, y'all?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay, good. All right, so we're gonna go down here. Apologies, everybody. So if you look at the title, so I'm gonna go down here to page 13. Page 13. All right, so this is the book I got. It's to be purchased on our website. It's called The Solar Cycles, and they're coming to NoopooH. So you get down here to here. Okay, so I'm gonna start from up here. Listen to the sound right reasons to make things clear via repetition. A person, place, or thing starts at one point of degree on the order circle, goes around the perimeter of the circle, not in distance but in changes, one counterclockwise degree at a time, and ends up back at the same spot on the circle where he, she, or it began while going through all the evolutionary changes in form degree by degree that a circle can make within matter. The SMAT circular order is 720 degrees because it includes the zones of life and death, the living and the dead. See figures 10, 13, 25, and 42 on this topic. The SMAT circles of nature. But these two opposites exist at opposite times. 1 degree of the SMAT circle of order is 100,000 years, and that 1 degree, 1 dot of the circle line is all space, all matter, and all time, gradually changing in an evolutionary manner and coming back to the same beginning form and condition, or a very similar form and condition. The SMAT circle of chaos or disorder, also called primordial chaos, works in similar ways as the order circle, but in disorder instead of order. See figure 17, 18, and 19, the SMAT circle of nature topic. Let it be memorized, let it be known. Introduction to the nature, quarter 1 of the order, page 72. This can be verified in geology called the Milankovitch cycles. The Milankovitch cycles describe the collective effects of changes in the Earth's movement on its climate over thousands of years. The term is named for Serbian geophysicist and astronomer Milutin Milankovic. This is him here, born May 28, 1879, in Austria-Hungary. Modern-day Croatia, died December 12, 1958, age 79, in Belgrade, Serbia, Yugoslavia. Nationalities Serbian. All right, what are the Milankovitch cycles? Natural global warming and cooling is considered to be initiated by Milankovitch cycles. Excuse me. These orbital and axial variations influence the initiation of climate change and a long-term natural cycle of ice ages and warm periods known as glacial and interglacial periods. Our current climate forcing shows we are outside of that natural cycle forcing range. The natural cycle that people refer to regarding large scales of climate change is the time between ages and warm periods. Look what it says. The long cycle time is what? 100,000 years.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So this is the same thing what the nature books were saying up here. It's right here. 100,000 years. That's how it is for 1 degree of the SMAT circle. So this AFROO OONOO had already, put this information out there, even though he came after the fact, but this is showing you that it lines up with scientists in these particular fields. Again, York was a 9th grade dropout who had no connection to sound right reason. He had connection to sound wrong reason, and that's when these deities and deitesses connect with human beings. They working for Zupu. This is why York could never give y'all accurate points of time, and he straight lied about this, the moon cycle ending in the year 2000. That is not true. All right, so these are what the Milankovitch cycles look like, and it shows you the sun. It shows the obliquity of the ecliptic, 41,000 years of precession, 26,000 to 21,000 the Earth, and all this stuff like that. So I just wanted to let it be known. And I even in here, I could show you where I discovered the 6,000 year cycles Where is it? I think I could just type it in and it'll come up. All right, so in here, it says, I put, now that we have discussed solar cycles, 11 years, sun cycle, 6,000 years, and moon cycle, 6,000 years, let's examine why are they important. Okay, so I need to go back up some there. Let me see. I ain't been in this book in a while. 6,000, it gotta be 6,000. Where we at? 6,000 years. You see, go down. Okay, these are solar cycles of 11 years. I think it's called geo something. Hold on. Because this is science that the guy found when he figured it out. Let me go a little faster. Okay, let me go back up. Because I know I had it. Is these it? Okay, sun cycles. That's the solar. It got to be up here. Hold on. All right, moon cycles lasted 6,000 years apiece according to his writing. It's AFROO OONOO. The moon cycle talks about the 6,000 years. Okay, here we go. All right, Bible Interpretation Explanation, Book 2, number 5. Listen to sound right reason. These 6,000 year cycles can be found in a section of science called paleoclimatology. Paleoclimatology is the study of ancient climates prior to the widespread availability of instrumental records. Similar to the way archaeologists study fossils and other physical clues to gain insight into the prehistoric past, paleoclimatologists study several different types of environmental evidence to understand what the Earth's past climate was like and why. Over the years, the Earth has kept records of its climate conditions preserved in tree rings, locked in the skeletons of tropical coral reefs, sealed in glaciers and ice caps, and buried in laminated sediments from lakes and the ocean. Scientists can use these environmental records to estimate past conditions, extending our understanding of climate back hundreds to millions of years. These small cycles of nature are labeled in Caucasian science as what? Mid-Holocene, warm period. Paleoclimatologists have long suspected that the Middle Holocene, a period roughly from what? 7,000 to 5,000 years ago, was what? Warmer than the present day. So you got to remember the moon cycle just ended. So before the moon cycle, if you go back 6,000 years, it put you well in the sun cycle. So this is where the Caucasian them found out about it. And then I found a chart right here, see? When you go up there, it breaks it down. Terms like allothermal or hypothermal or climatic optimum have all been used to refer to this warm period that marked the middle of the current interglacial period. Today, however, we know that these terms are obsolete and that the truth of the Holocene is more complicated than originally believed. But this is the chart that they got. And if you count, it go all the way back. 11,000, 10,000, 9,000, 8,000, 7,000, 6,000 year increments, see, before the previous. See, so you go here to now, 1,000, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,000, and right here, they show you where it was at, Holocene period and the climate optimums. So this is showing you how things have rose up, and once we got into the 6,000 year term, look, the heat started going down. If you see what's that Roman climate optimal, medieval, a little warm period, but it still kept going down and down. So this is how we was able to support what AFROO OONOO said. Nothing in your teachings about 6,000 years have none of these things in his books. None of it. Again, he was not connected to NoopooH. He was connected to ZooPoo. All right, so we got that down pat. Y'all want to say anything before I move on to what I was trying to do?
No.
All right. I know I took a little bit of time, but I had to chase that down real quick. All right, so now let's just look at some of the stuff that York was talking about. All right, so we're gonna go back to where we was at. Is that big enough?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, it's generating. All right. All right, so we already came here. So now we know that Leviathan is a solar force and it deals with the sun losing magnetism. And then Leviathan came down by way of what it was, alpha and theta, right?
Yeah, through the
And
lower
that brought a
magnetism.
hypnotizing energy as well as nuclear fallout, because that's what 6 ether was at
Well,
this point.
all the magnetisms came down with it. It was just a lower form of energy that stripped away ozone layers and changed the whole physiology of all the planets and the solar system in general. But it operates on that low frequency of theta and alpha as far as hypnotism and sex is concerned.
Okay, so we know that we can all agree that Leviathan is not a human being, correct?
Absolutely not.
Right, now watch what York does. A mere half of a minute in years, 30 years was needed from 1970 to 2000. Lies. It's actually 63 plus years to take for that thing to happen. Now to the 6,000 year reign of the Luciferian Satan, Satan, Shaitan, Leviathan. Right? Now he's going into religion. Beelzebub, master of filth, Lord of the flies, the human serpent, lipless snake people. How did you get that from a solar force that's a sex force that it pre-existed? The Caucasian didn't exist millions of years ago. But he's bringing it to them. See? So all of this can be attributed to Leviathan and spirit beings, but we know that what York did, he minimized what Leviathan was. He didn't even start off with what Leviathan really was. All right, let's go to another one. Then he said, who or what cast the spell? The Nawapins of latter time have a spell casted them by a man, Leviathan. That is a form of amnesia. Again, he is not properly addressing what Leviathan is, because Leviathan through Tahuti is mismanaging his information. He's distorting the Bible interpretation. All right, amnesia is not mentioned in the Bible interpretation. All right, Zupu by definition causes memory loss and forgetfulness as a natural thing. So you can't say it's a form of amnesia. We've been lost out. It was really the book said we lost reasonability. That's what should have been up here. That not no amnesia. It's reasonability. Here we go again. What is they in the board paragraph? Pa Sata, the serpent, a mammal, Leviathan. See now the giant sex and spirit force that they use in white magic to rule you. He still keep bringing it down from what it is. It's a sex force. Now he said he's using it in white magic. But the point is, the BIA tell you that Leviathan is casted upon you by the Bible. When you look up what white magic is, it doesn't necessarily have to do with religion, because white magic is considered positive magic. He's trying to take the word white, and because you're talking about white people and they using magic, it's automatically no. White magic is considered positive. Black magic is considered negative. And when you look at what white magic does, the positive side of it, not what the person who's claiming to be using white magic, they can bring in things that they want. Me studying white magic, it only, when you're doing it right, you use plants and herbs, positive plants and herbs. Black magic, even if you saying I'm doing white magic, as soon as you harm something, it's termed black magic. So York is not giving the proper definition here. All right. What it says right here. Now he's stealing again. And this is why no one before now, let's go down here, right here. When will their time come to an end? Their word ended 9999. That's a lie. Another lie. 1962 is the beginning of the end. It takes a little bit over 60 years at 3 South, plus the cataclysm to end it all. So him saying 999 was a lie because the Caucasian is still in the full swing. How? Look, line 9 to the 9th power 9. That's another lie that's nowhere in none of the books. There's no such thing as 9 to the 9th power 9 in the books that AFROO OONOO wrote. York threw that in there, and people can never tell you where he got that from to this day. So he's taking and rewording the beginning of the BIA, what we just read. The word ended in 9999 to the 9th power 9 by re-emerging of NoopooH, and this is why no one before now has been able to really unite the Nuwaubian. See, he took the word Ethiopian out and put Nuwaubian there. Remember, there's no such thing as a N. NoopooH is a science. NoopooH means right. It means knowledge, wisdom, and understanding. A person cannot be that. A person can display that, but you cannot be that. So look, and then also why the people of Egyptian, see, that ain't in the BIAE. Ethiopian is, he put all this extra stuff in there. When the BIA tells you that Leviathan cast a spell upon the Ethiopian, or is a spell cast upon the Ethiopian worldwide, Egyptians not there, African descendants not there, by blood and serpent, seed and genes, have not been able to dare to make any real progress towards freedom and equality among themselves. For with the help of the Caucasian, the Caucasian is not Leviathan. See, he's calling now, he's making Leviathan people. Then he turns around and say, the God of the Caucasian, you can't be both. You can't say with the help of the Caucasian, Leviathan, then call him the God of the Caucasian, who hypnotized, that is enchanted the weapon. See, this part was in the part when it came to Adam and Eve, which said Leviathan hypnotized Adam and Eve. Here, he places the Nuwaubians in the place where Eve and Adam group supposed to be. Then he said, with his and her white magic, the power of 6 ether. So this is another problem too. All right, let me jump off of this real quick. We got to jump around. We got to jump like crisscross. Got to jump, because we dealing with some pure niggatry. And this is a part of the spell too. We have to continuously deal with this. Hold on.
The deception of Leviathan.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That means, because that's what you're really dealing with. You're dealing with a sex force that knows how to mess with your brain. Let me see. Okay, you know what? Let me see. All right, let me not go to this one. I'm about to go to the book itself. Let me go to the book itself. Science is in the Bible interpretation, so I ain't crazy. Non-born noon. BIAE, I think it's in book 2, because he said, again, this is why you have to have you take your turpentine and your sulfur, because these spirits will get you every time, and they and you don't catch it because you under the spell. Give me one moment. I'm trying to chase it down. Hold on. Okay, so it ain't book 2. Gotta be in book 1. Okay, where you at? Where you at? Okay, I'm using the word. All right, so we read what he said. He said, "For with the help of the Caucasian among Leviathan, the god of the Caucasian hypnotized, that is enchanted, the Wabian with his and her white magic power of 6 ether and sealed hypnotic spell." So he didn't clarify. He didn't clarify that. So we got to clarify, because he's saying white magic, and that's not accurate. All right, we're gonna. You know what? That's the wrong one. Sorry. Wrong one. Hold on, I got this one. Is it this one? No, it's this one. Okay, y'all see it? I'm about to make it a little bigger. You can see it in NoopooH?
Mm-hmm.
All right, so here it said, what is a spirit and how does the incarnation take place? According to the ancients, a spirit, good or evil, is conscious gas that produce spirit gas from blood or water in order to emanate. There are 2 kinds of spirit. Look, ether and what? Ghosts. And these 2 forces represent the opposite, the living and the dead, right? Black and white, sun and moon, so on. Whether a spirit is good or evil depends on whom it is for or against. A spirit can be good at one time and evil at another. It is considered a good spirit to those it is for, and an evil spirit to those it is against, regardless of whether it is what? Ether or ghost, right? So you get down here, however, ether can produce ghosts, but ghosts cannot produce ether. Just as black people can produce albinos, but albinos cannot produce black people. Therefore, ghost is the spirit of God of albinos, and thereby spellbinding others for Caucasian, and ether the spirit of the God for black people. So remember, it's 2 types. See, according to ancient, ether looks like fire or what? Black smoke, and ghost looks like fog. Ghost is water spirit, and ether is fire spirit, unquenchable fire. So he's calling white magic 6 ether, but 6 ether is black smoke, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So him calling it white magic and you using ghosts, you making them think that white magic and 6 ether are the same. No, 6 ether produces ghosts, but it's not how he's portraying it. And I'm going over through this because I've been through this multiple times. And, you know, like they say, the devil's in the details. You got to be detailed when you're dealing with these people, because you're them spellbinding with so many books, they don't know where they coming and going. That's why you have to be specific when you're dealing with these people, because they're going to sit around and they'll go and bring up 50,000 stories, not knowing that York done remixed it multiple times. All right, so here we go. Let's go to the next one. We got that one. Y'all can see it?
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Blow it up a little bit.
All right. Oh. Is that too big?
That's the one that says, what does it have to do with sex, right?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
So
I guess
you,
just expand it a little bit more.
how about now?
It looked the same. It looked like you ain't do nothing. I mean, you could still read it. It's fine. Just, you know.
Okay, I made the other one big, not the screen, my bad. How about now?
It looked the same, but you could go ahead and read it.
I'm trying to make sure. I want y'all to be able to see it. I don't know. I got it like 200 degrees. I mean, 200.
Yeah, it's clear. It's just, you know, you good.
Okay. All right, so we'll read from the left. He said, they rule you also by way of physical lust and sex in the moon cycle, the last night for the last 6,000 years, which is how old Europe is, not the whole world. Saying stuff like that is so dumb. They not from Europe. The name Europe is from Europa, which means to enter in. She was a Phoenician female deity, wife of Zeus, the white bull. Europa was a fertility or sex goddess, the Greek harlot. Revelation 17:16 of New Babylon and Old Babylon. So again, like he said, he bringing up this stuff, and he's calling these the way he describe this stuff is it keeps metamorphosizing Leviathan from one thing to another one. This is why the Wapians couldn't see what Leviathan was doing right in York. York was ruled by lust. If you got over 50 women and everything else that took him down through there, you could tell who Leviathan has. But see, he don't push that a lot because he kept switching it. Now here we go again. What are black magic? Is it that evil? No, but this is what they would like you to believe, that anything prefixed with black is bad. Part of the black magic, see, formula, see, them re-edited what the BIAE and the nine ball say. The nine ball and the Bible interpretation. Remember, we did this the first video we did, we talked about the magic formula. And nowhere in there does it use the term black. It said the information is part of the formula. Part of the black magic formula to reverse or destroy the white magic evil hypnotic spell of Leviathan is the series of scrolls, NoopooH. See, now he done remove the Bible interpretation in the nine ball books, which they specifically said they was the books that would help you break the spell of Leviathan. But he said his scrolls, see how he took it and moved it? But he's still taken from the Bible interpretation. Look, verse 110. Again, it is futile trying to unite so-called Negroes physically without first uniting them mentally. If we can achieve mental unity, and we are automatically united physically because the person talks and acts the way that he or she thinks. We know that this does not fit Dr. York followers because there's 30,000, I won't say that, that's extreme. There's about 30 sects of them, and none of them are united. None of them. All right, where we at? 136, okay. We're going to go down here. Again, here we go again. What is the purpose of right knowledge? Right knowledge is designed to free and discipline and unify the minds of the Nawapians. Again, the book says Ethiopians. Nawapian is it's no such thing as a Nawapian because Nawapoo is a science. It deals with knowledge. You can't do that. Ethiopian is a term that covers all black people. Even though York tried to apply this to all people, whether they follow him or not, this is not a correct term to use. It's incorrect. Then the rest of your heritage will come as sufficient evidence made to teach all others of your seed. See, all this stuff, he changed it. Here we go again. Right knowledge, right wisdom, and the right understanding are the black magic formula necessary to counterattack and destroy the white magic hypnotic spell of a man Leviathan. So once again, he's moving the words around in the Bible interpretation and adding on to them. All right, so let's go to this one. Hold on. All right, so now, did it change?
No, I still see that page with the.
Okay, good. That's what I wanted to do. That's what I wanted.
Okay.
All right, I wanted to. We're gonna stop this real quick. I'm gonna jump over here. Okay, where we at? Oh, my connection was lost. All right, let me go over here real quick. All right, so now I'm gonna take you to a conversation with me and Earl, because Earl, just like the rest of them who can't deal with the reality, will always come under the post and try to deflect. So every time we on this topic, they get upset and try to concentrate and say, oh, we always talking about sex. But when you understand that sex rules the bottom half, but if they was really reading the information and not confused by York, they would understand why people like York and Puff and the rest of them is in the trouble that they're in. Y'all seen the screen change? Hmm? Okay, y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, so this individual is supposed to be one of the sons of the Most High. Now this is the foolishness that York done taught them. Now Enki is a Sumerian god from the Sumerians pantheon, and they talk about Enki and they talk about the story of Noah and all this old stuff like that. But the thing was, York was saying that Enki and those who fall in Enki, see right here, 169. He said those who follow Enki, hold on, mute your phone, Ken. All right, said those who follow Enki, who was surrendering himself to Hindu deities called Leviathan and surrendering to their custom and tradition, even when as far as the raise the growth test, Ishtar also called Inanna to be a supreme deity. Now, here, this supposed to be a god himself, Sumerian, and then he mixing it up with the Hindus.
Mm.
And this is what happens when you possess and you cross-pollinating two different cultures in their mythos. So this is see, we untangling it in the last couple of videos. York was tangling it.
Mm-hmm.
And then personifying them and then trying to make almost everybody involved black. All right, so this is just one of the many things, but if you go to NoopooH-Nature's Facebook and search Enki in her search bar, you're gonna see all these different videos on this topic. All right, so I'm gonna just wanted to show that right there, then I'm gonna jump back. Is that big enough?
Mm-hmm.
So now he talk about Enki a lot because York claimed to be the grandson of Anu, and that him and Enki were related.
Mm.
So when you look at Enki, we'll go back down here. Because York claimed that they was blood related.
Mm.
So when you start reading the story, which we just look 81, we get down here, it said those who follow Enki, who surrendered himself to Hindu deities. Remember, York got his followers dressing like Hindus and following Hindu ways. Remember, he put the Kama Sutra on the sex life of a Muslim book. We can see that everything that York been doing has been strongly influenced by what you would call Hinduism. So he surrendered himself, the Hindu deities of pantheism called Leviathan, and surrendering to their customs and traditions. And you had those who follow in Leo. Once New School, see, New School is supposed to be the angel Gabriel, which is Tahuti. He always kept putting this stuff in here. Could no longer take the things that Inca was doing. They moved on and ship out the ship until they found open plains to the peninsula. So you just keep looking and looking and looking. But Inca did a lot. Let me see, did I spell that right? Okay, let me take his name out. See if I can find that real quick. Let me see. You know what? I can find it right here. Hold on. Hold on. I had it set up earlier. You know, I kept getting kicked out of the Facebook thing. I'm trying to see. Got to be more results on that. Let me see. See if I can pull this up. Come on, I had all this stuff together. Because we had a lot of posts that was going back. They just kept coming over here. I'm trying to see. Okay, you know what? Let me do this. Okay, let me go to my group. Home groups. Give me a second. I'm looking at the time. We might have to drop this down because we're pushing up on our time. Actually, I want to make sure we don't go too far over. Trying to get in my group real quick. Get off this. But you know what? We can always come back and do another part because we didn't hit our time zone. But I want to see if I can find it, at least set it up for the next go around. You're gonna do more. You're gonna do more on the Leviathan.
No.
But that was a lot, though. That was a lot that you pulled off. Because we can go so far on this side of things that it will cause. We have to do more than videos we did with the Adam and Eve. Actually. Just looking real quick before I just get ready to cut it off. All right, so we're gonna come back because I got too many posts on this and I want to line it up right. So anyway, let me stop my sharing my screen. That we had a real good show. Newt did his thing as a Noonaboo, which is what we're supposed to do. We're supposed to keep studying and keep looking and bringing forth information. Like I said, our motivation is we just want our people to be mentally liberated before we can do anything physical. That's why we haven't gotten anywhere, because Leviathan has done a great job fooling a lot of us. And that's why we're in this condition that we're in. Until we get our minds right, we're not going to get nothing else. We might go in on a lot of leaders and say different things, but trust me, we are very well aware of the true source of our problems that we're having. So that's all I wanted to say, y'all.
All right. Yes, absolutely. My message to the people is to understand that what you're witnessing, with certain breakdowns, is the scientific process of how certain things are the way they are on the planet. And there's always a scientific explanation, and we have to understand that the Caucasians version of science is a very weak, watered down science. And our African spiritual science, known as Noone, is the strongest form of science, right? So in some cases, the Caucasian will be able to verify, certain things that need to be tied down. But when it comes to African spiritual science, where one of our greats has been able to reach back into time, right? As AFROO OONOO said that, well, we haven't gotten to that part yet, but he's able to foretell some of these situations, some of these stories, and break it down into a format where we're able to understand it scientifically, because science, and the root word of science, which is sentia, means knowledge. Okay, so he has the right knowledge to break it down and to give it to us in a form, in its original form, because the original form is not the story form. So anybody that's telling you a story, as far as the Bible, as far as any religious text, a story does not predate the actual facts, or the actual, I don't even like using the word actual facts because of the Wapians, but the actual process of how things have gotten here. So even after Unu, when he uses certain terms and he says that Leviathan was casted from the sun, he just wants you to know that that is actually a scientific process of the sun losing its magnetism or expelling a certain energy towards the planet, and it's been here and it's been causing havoc for the last 18 million years. So that's just my spill for you to understand that we are just giving the scientific information as to why things are the way they are. Same as Adam and Eve, scientifically. We haven't even broken down, their birth scientifically, but we'll get to that so at some other point in time. But thank you for showing up. Thank you for participating and listening. As time goes on, the audience will grow, and we'll be able to answer questions live. But for right now, we are breaking down the Bible interpretations, because when all answers of the Bible are answered, then the spell will truly be broken. Okay? So that's just my spill, and thank you for showing up.
True peace. This has been a wonderful display of information, and I hope you all are just as enthused and excited with the information that has never been brought forth in all the years of us being on this planet. I, for one, am definitely blown from most definitely tonight's presentation. And as time go on, more and more information from the roots will be brought to the surface. True peace. That's my spiel.
You want to cut the live, Tar? Tar might have fell asleep like I did yesterday.
Oh no, my bad. I thought they heard what I was saying. I was telling everybody